Those who trust in the Lord are like the mountains of Zion, which cannot be shaken, but endure forever. Psalms 125:1. In difficult times, when the clouds seem to close in around us, it is common to feel alone and helpless. But the truth is that we are never alone. The presence of the one who created the heavens and the earth is constant in our lives, even when we cannot see it. Have you ever felt lost amid the storms that life brings? It is precisely in those moments that we need to look to Him, renew our faith, and find strength in His promise. Life is full of challenges that can shake us, but it is essential to remember that faith is our foundation. When we trust completely, we find a safe refuge. The certainty that we will not be abandoned gives us the courage to face adversity. When reflecting on the situations where we have felt this divine protection, we can realize that even in the darkest hours, there is always a light that shines on our path. So, I invite you to look within yourself and acknowledge your insecurities and fears. It is natural to feel anxious in the face of difficulties, but we must remember that, just like the mountains of Zion, we can stand firm. God's loving presence surrounds us, strengthens us, and guides us. How about asking yourself, am I willing to trust fully, even when everything seems lost? This is the key to overcoming storms and finding peace amid chaos. Let us together embrace this transformative confidence. When we face moments of crisis, we often let ourselves be carried away by anxiety and fear. It is easy to forget the strength we can find in faith. Life presents us with challenges that may seem insurmountable, but it is in this scenario that we should remember the promises made to us. The Bible teaches us that trust is a solid foundation. When we place our faith in something greater than ourselves, we find a safe shelter. In Psalms 37:5 we read, "Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will do everything." This passage encourages us to hand over our worries and anxieties into His hands. By doing this, we not only release the weight we carry, but also make room for Him to work in our lives. Surrendering is not an act of giving up, but a courageous choice to trust. In difficult days, this trust becomes our refuge, allowing peace to fill our hearts. When we look around us, we realize that contemporary challenges can be overwhelming. Financial problems, troubled relationships, the anxiety of the future, and the pain of loss are just a few of the storms we face. But instead of succumbing to these feelings, we are called to remember the strength that comes from trusting in something greater. Faith teaches us to see beyond the present and keep hope alive, even when everything seems to be crumbling. Trust is a daily exercise. Sometimes it may feel like a struggle, but we must remember that we are not alone. God knows our anguish, and even in the most challenging situations, He is by our side. In Isaiah 41:10, we find the promise, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you, and I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." This passage is a powerful reminder that we are never abandoned and that we have unwavering support. When we look at the lives of people who faced great adversities like Daniel in the lion's den or Job in his trials, we find inspiring examples of unwavering faith. They were not exempt from difficulties, but they showed us that even in the darkest circumstances, trust in God can give us the courage to persevere. We can draw inspiration from these stories to remember that faith is a powerful weapon against despair. The fact that God is always present and understands us deeply is an immense comfort. He not only sees our struggles, but also cares about every detail of our lives. Therefore, when the storms come, remember that you can take refuge in this certainty. Faith does not promise that we will not face problems, but assures us that we will not face them alone. By trusting in Him, we find the strength needed to move forward and overcome the obstacles that arise in our path. Reflect on your own experiences and recognize the moments when you felt God's presence by your side. These memories strengthen our faith and help us realize that even in the worst storms, there is a safe harbor. The Lord is always by our side, ready to support and guide us. May this certainty envelop you and strengthen your trust each day. Lord, at this moment, I come before you with an open and sincere heart. I recognize that many times I let myself be carried away by the insecurities and fears that arise amidst difficulties. I feel the storms around me, and it is easy to forget that you are with me. Help me to remember that trust in you is my safe refuge, even when the waves of life seem to threaten to knock me down. May I always look to you, seeking the strength that comes from unwavering faith. I thank you, Lord, for never abandoning me, for knowing exactly how I feel and for being by my side, even in the darkest hours. When I look at the situations surrounding me, such as worries about the future, financial difficulties, or troubled relationships, I realize that I need to hand each one of them over to you. Your word teaches us that when we commit our way to you, we can trust that everything will be done according to your will. May this truth bring me peace amidst the chaos. I ask you, Lord, to renew my faith. May I be like the mountains of Zion, firm and resilient, even in the face of the adversities I encounter. Life can be challenging, but I want to remember the promise that I am not alone. In Isaiah, we find the assurance that you are my support. Help me internalize this truth and live with the confidence that regardless of the circumstances, you are always present, ready to strengthen and guide me. In moments of anguish, when anxiety tries to take over my heart, may I turn to you in prayer. May I express my worries and fears, handing them over to you. May every tear I shed be an offering of trust, a cry for help, and a recognition that I need you. May I always remember Daniel, who faced the lion's den with courage and faith. May this story inspire me to be steadfast in my trust, even when everything seems lost. Lord, I also want to offer you my gratitude. I thank you for every small miracle that happens in my life, even in the most challenging situations. For each day you allow me to live, for every breath, and for every moment I feel your presence. May I never forget to acknowledge the blessings around me, for even in storms, there is always something to be thankful for. Help me cultivate a grateful heart that rejoices amidst difficulties. As I face the challenges of everyday life, may I find comfort in your word. May the promises made to me be my guide and my hope. In Psalms, we find the certainty that those who trust in the Lord are like mountains that cannot be shaken. May this image be the anchor of my faith, reminding me that just like the mountains, I too can stand firm, unwavering, even when the storms of life try to knock me down. I ask, Lord, that you grant me the wisdom to deal with the situations surrounding me. May I discern the best decisions to make, and may my faith be a beacon in the darkness. May my trust in you be a testimony to those around me, showing that even in the most difficult moments, there is always hope and peace in you. May I be an example of faith and resilience, inspiring others to trust in you as well. Lord, I desire for this trust to become an intrinsic part of my life. May I look at difficulties not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities to grow in faith. May each challenge that arises bring me closer to you and strengthen my relationship with you. May I know that, regardless of what happens, your presence is a constant comfort and support in my journey. When we think about the strength we find in faith, we can draw inspiration from the story of Job, a man who faced immense adversities. Job was known for his integrity and for being a righteous man. However, he was suddenly subjected to a series of devastating trials. He lost his possessions, his children, and ultimately, his health. In the midst of such suffering, Job's reaction teaches us much about the resilience of faith. Instead of succumbing to despair, he cried out to God, seeking to understand the reasons for his trials. Job said, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him." Job 13:15. This remarkable statement reveals the depth of his trust, even in the face of extreme pain. He did not understand the reasons for his suffering, but his faith remained steadfast. What can we learn from this? Often we encounter situations that make no sense, leading us to question everything around us. However, Job's story reminds us that faith can be a solid pillar in times of crisis. While Job faced his trials, his friends tried to convince him that his suffering was the result of some hidden sin. They did not understand that not every difficulty is a punishment. Like Job, we often find ourselves facing criticism and judgment from others during our difficult times. It is essential to remember that, just like him, we can stand firm regardless of the opinions around us. True confidence does not depend on circumstances, but on a genuine and personal relationship with God. Job, even in his pain, sought the presence of God. He questioned, lamented, and expressed his suffering, but he never abandoned his faith. This teaches us that we should not be afraid to bring our doubts and anguish to him. We can take our fears and insecurities to him. In Psalms 52:8 we read, I am like a green olive tree in the house of God. I trust in the mercy of God forever. This image encourages us to remain steadfast, even when everything seems to be falling apart around us. The story of Job also reveals the importance of perseverance. He was ultimately rewarded for his faith and resilience, receiving even greater blessings than those he had lost. This message is powerful for us. Even in our moments of greatest despair, trust in something greater can bring about the necessary transformation. We are not alone in our battles. The Lord is with us, and His promise is that if we remain steadfast, we will be rewarded. In the face of contemporary challenges such as daily pressures, anxiety, and relational problems, we can draw inspiration from Job's determination. He did not allow his circumstances to define his faith. Thus, we are called to do the same. When life presents us with storms, let us remember that we can find shelter and strength in our trust. As we look at Job's life, may we find the courage to face our own challenges, knowing that faith can sustain us in times of crisis. Finally, Job's story teaches us that trust is not a passive act. It is a daily choice, a commitment to believe and persevere even when the answers seem distant. May we follow his example, keeping our hearts open and seeking God's presence in every situation. Each challenge we face has the potential to draw us closer to Him, revealing the strength of an unshakable faith that supports and guides us along the way. The message that surrounds us is clear. We are never alone in our struggles. The challenges we encounter may be intense, but like the mountains of Zion, we can remain steadfast and unshakable when we place our trust in something greater. Faith is our anchor amid the storms, and it is through it that we find strength and courage to move forward. Each difficulty is an opportunity to grow and strengthen our relationship with the Creator, who never abandons us. Remember that even in the darkest situations, there is always a light that shines. The Lord is by your side, knowing your pains and anxieties. He cares deeply for you and is ready to offer you refuge and peace. May you be inspired by stories of faith, like that of Job, and find the determination needed to face your challenges. Do not let difficulties define who you are. Allow your faith to strengthen with each trial. At the end of your faith journey, rest assured that every step taken in trust will be rewarded. May the certainty that God is by your side bring comfort to your heart. May your mind and spirit be renewed, allowing you to see the blessings even amid the storms. May the peace that surpasses all understanding guard your heart and mind. I invite you to share your experience in the comments. How has faith sustained you in difficult times? If this message touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe, leave your like, and share this video. Together we can spread hope and encouragement to those who need it most. May grace and peace be with you each day that begins.